up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Lina of Predatory Void. It is so great to be able to talk with you. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Anytime, anytime. It is so awesome to have you here. Your new album, Seven Keys to the Discomfort of Being, is absolutely kick ass, an absolute essence of brutality. Can't wait for the rest of the world to hear it. But for people who haven't heard this in the entirety of this album yet, do you feel like the singles that we heard so far, such as Struggling and Endless Return to the Kingdom, is a good representation of this whole album, or is there a lot more to be discovered?
Yeah, I feel like Struggling is kind of like a representation of the album as a whole, because it has a lot of different parts that we mix and match in other songs as well. So I feel like energy wise, parts wise, it's a very good representation. And Endless Return is more like, yeah, punch in the face after that as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
definitely.
but it's more melodic, but like theme wise it's like more dark and depressive, I guess.
Mhm. Was there sort of like a preconceived vision behind the making of this album, being that, many members have come from Amon Ra and you've played with Crossspringer? Were you kind of like maybe combining your previous projects into one project together, or were you all kind of like exploring uncharted territory that you've never explored before?
I guess it's more of the second version. Actually, like I can tell you how the album kind of came to be if you want.
Please.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. So Leonard started writing the music during lockdowns, because yeah, he basically had nothing to do. We couldn't do anything. Like I couldn't tattoo anymore. I had to sit home. He couldn't do any shows, so he was sitting home writing some material, and he realized that it wasn't really suitable for Amin Ra or Oathbreaker, his other band. And at a certain point he was like, yeah, well, it's starting to become a thing, so maybe I should find people and see if it's gonna work as a band. And then he invited Tess from Cobra the Impaler, and he's been playing in Aborted as well. um so they've been friends for like 20 plus years, and he invited him as a guitarist. Then he heard my records with Crossbringer, and since I don't live that far, he invited me as well as a singer. He sent me demos, and I was just really under the impression of, yeah, the music. Then we invited Tim, and then we found Vincent as the last piece of this puzzle. So that's how it came to be, kind of. Um, I think we formed like around Leonard and his ideas musically, but then I pitched in my ideas in with the lyrics and the vocals, and I feel like that came together nicely
Yeah.
so far.
Well, I'm very interested into I know like it's kind of cliche to ask what the record name means, but Seven Keys to the Discomfort of Being, it almost seems like, I mean, I'm not sure if this is a concept album or a specific, like, where you're having an essence on just as much of the meaning as the music, but was there sort of like a vision in mind or a statement that you were sort of like trying to make? Like, what are those seven
Mhm.
keys representative of?
So we had 7 tracks, and I just thought like all the lyrics have one kind of main theme going on, discomfort in general, like physical, mental, emotional, social, like anxiety, all that stuff. And I feel like the songs are kind of united, but they're also very different, each of them. And I was thinking, just like, yeah, it could be a cool concept to just unite them like that.
Mm,
But the lyrics I write are always very personal. So I don't know. I guess I try to make the experience like a bit relatable for other people or something like that,
yeah.
expressing my own thoughts and feelings. And yeah, discomfort is kind of like a universal thing everyone experiences. daily or once in a lifetime. I don't know if these people exist.
Well, I mean, I think we all have our own well within and our own seeds of frustration and our own means of struggling and funerary vision. So, and all having the desire to be shedding our withered skins. So, like, I do
Yeah.
think that,
Wow,
really,
that's great.
oh, thank you, thank you. I told you I like the album a lot,
Awesome.
but like I feel like it is has an emphasis on internal struggle. Is this all like maybe rooted in experience in a way, or were you kind of maybe putting yourself in other people's shoes as well, or maybe this is also told from the point of view of your fellow bandmates as well?
Well, since I'm responsible for the lyrics, it's kind of like my personal experiences. And it doesn't mean that I firsthand experienced some of the stuff, but it's like 99% of it is based on the way I exist as a person. And I'm a compulsive writer, so I write like all the time. I could be just going to like a bus stop, and then suddenly I get like a thought, and then I start developing it, overthinking, and then I come up with like lyrics and I write them down, and then I develop them into songs. So that's, yeah,
Well,
that's the process.
when internal struggles and internal agony is
Mm-hmm.
the source of inspiration, obviously creating art and music is very cathartic and it's a good release. But when you have to confront your own inner darkness, can that also
Mm-hmm.
maybe make the songwriting process just as deteriorating as it can be cathartic?
I understand what you mean, but for me, it's more like therapeutic because I'm a fan of honesty. And so, like, writing from this perspective is very important for me, that I don't create like any visions or any images, but that maybe I mean, like images that don't have anything to do with how I see the world. I wouldn't be able to write anything like that because it's just now not how I see the world. But creating metaphors is another source of like expressing things I feel, that maybe they're not too direct, repulsive, or whatever, but they're kind of like cryptic a little bit. And that's what I really like to do.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Is
Well,
that
yeah,
is that
it
an
answers
answer
it
enough?
answers the question beautifully, and I want to know, like, as a lyricist, because you mentioned you're a compulsive writer, but do you prefer to have music present before you know what each song is going to be about, or have you ever wrote lyrics that can maybe help guide the sound of the music that we hear, whether it will be in Crossbringer or Predatory Void?
Normally, it starts with the music, actually. Yeah, so I get inspired by music that I listen to. Like with Crossbringer, it was the same, that I just received some tracks and I started writing, and then I sent it to my bandmates to check, and they were okay with it. With Predator Void, it's also, I heard the music, I started writing, but then I also had like some sketches lying around of lyrics that could perfectly fit with the music that I just discovered. Um, and then one of the songs we really had to sit down and write together
Yeah. Well,
because it was very difficult. Yeah.
well, isolation is such a great fuel for creativity, but so is camaraderie. So, like, is it fair to say
Yeah.
that the energy that's channeled in, whether you're writing by yourself or writing with your bandmates, is it almost kind of like a different energy in a way that's being explored?
I feel like it just has to do with my personality, mainly because I'm alone most of the time, on my own, like doing my stuff, living. And then doing stuff with other people is quite weird to me. And I'm afraid of like failure sometimes. And but they created an environment wherein I really felt like I can share and I can be honest about like things I don't know and make mistakes, and then they will catch me if I fall, basically. So yeah, it feels as comfortable as working alone because they kind of mm, sync with my energy, and then it's just smooth sailing, actually.
Because sometimes you're working on a song for hours or days or weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
your music has does capture a moment of emotion in a way. So when you're working on a song for a long period of time, is it harder to sort of maintain the initial spark that created the idea in a way? Like, do you like to maybe feel the same way when you finish a song as you do when you start it?
Yeah, it definitely transforms. It does. Yeah, well, the thing is, if you start listening to the song and looking at the lyrics for a longer period of time, you start hating it. So you really need support system that like people will tell you like it's okay, it's really good, okay, just stop.
Yeah,
Stop trying to make it better. You're gonna make it worse.
yeah,
So then it works.
yeah. An artist alone is like the most dangerous thing in the world sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when you're creating things, you're becoming very self-destructive because you become your worst critic as well. And so the easiest thing to end it all is just to like throw everything out and just never touch it again. That's what I experience sometimes with things.
From talking to you about this album, it almost seems like there's a similar sort of DNA present in this album as Crossbringers, The Signs of Spiritual Delusion. Were you kind of like looking inward in a similar way? Or being that, we're all different people now in 2023
Yeah.
as opposed to 2020 when that came out,
Yeah.
was it a different type of mind frame creating that album?
Yeah, I was really hurting when I was writing this album. I was really I feel like if you compare both of those, you'll see that like the signs of spiritual delusion are very aggressive, very like desperate, and it's like there is no hope in it. Whether like when you listen to Seven Keys to the Discomfort of Being, it's more like I'm accepting where I am right now. Like I know every single thing I'm talking about. I know about it. Um, I'm not trying to like uh, incinerate anything. I'm just trying to live, and I'm okay with whatever's happening with me. I think that's like more adult perspective on the topic of discomfort in a way.
Well, I mean, the spiritual delusion in itself is, I think, like exploring that spiritual energy is also very traumatizing in a
Yeah,
way. So,
yeah.
I think even though it was Crossbringers a different band than Predatory Void, it could that album almost be kind of like the prequel in a way, or kind of like or the precursors of it.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Even though with Crossbringer, it's also an aspect of it is like faith and religion, that kind of theme, which I don't talk about anymore. And I mean, with Predatory Void, it's a different perspective. It's really like looking inward, and yeah, with Crossbringer, it's more trying to see parallels with um, like doctrines and your mindset. You know what I mean.
Definitely.
That's more of that vibe. While with Predatory Void, it's like just being more of an open book, like and shedding weathered skin and just being actually comfortable with the discomfort. Yeah.
You mentioned you're a compulsive writer, but do you believe inspiration is something that could be sought out in a way, or do you just kind of let the inspiration strike you?
I feel like it's uncontrollable actually. Sometimes it can be a conversation and then I hear like a word that sounds beautiful, or like a sentence that sounds very mysterious to me, and I'll write it down. And like in a week, in a month, in a year, I open like the notes app on my phone and I see this line in one of the notes, and then I get like the impulse and I start writing. But sometimes, yeah, sometimes I can really sit myself down and start overthinking. As weird as it sounds, I just start overthinking about one topic, like something specific, and then I try to look for associations in different fields, and then I just write it down, and then I'll see how I can puzzle it into like a rhymed entity, I would say something like.
I mean, because like with the impulsivity in writing, like, but also the overthinking aspect of it. Like a lot of people say, overthinking is a bad thing, and it definitely is tiresome. But
It doesn't help.
yeah. But overthinking, I think also. I mean, I myself am a chronic overthinker, and I know a lot of people who are.
All
Overthinkers
right.
have some fantastic imaginations. I think we could agree with that.
Yeah. Mm.
So, could like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
did you ever come up with a scenario in your mind from overthinking that led to the making of a song or even just a poem or any form of literature?
Oh yeah, like the funeral vision is actually a fully uncontrolled overthinking process in itself. Because I mean, I don't want to create any narrative here, but like I want people to interpret it themselves, what they think the song is about. But basically, for me, it was just thinking about like death, um, of me, myself, or people around me, and just creating the scenario of, for example, when you get a call and you learn that someone is no more. What do you do then? How do you feel? And from there I started getting like visual representation of how it feels, and for some reason it's always like snowy landscapes and like silence and cold, you know.
Yeah, I
So that,
there's a feeling of desolation.
do you feel that as well? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've
Yeah.
noticed that with a a funerary vision, that there is an essence of desolation behind it. I think it's like I think it's finally realizing that somebody's dead and gone, and then just
Mm,
that subtle nature of acceptance. It's like I think the bridge between denial and acceptance of death.
yeah. Yeah, 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 exactly. And like on a physical level, when I experience some, like I hear some, like, yeah, you get a call and you hear some news that is like shocking, my body reacts in a very weird way, that like I see like flash of white immediately when I get this like very stressful reaction. And I kind of used it as a starting point for it as well.
I think I mean I think you are a prime example, and it's one of the cruelest dualities. But when we are at our worst, art tends to be at its best. So
Yeah, yeah, it's really weird. And I'm fascinated with lots of aspects of like physicality of human nature, like sometimes I would walk around and I feel like, oh, my veins are actually pumping and my heart is working and I can feel that I'm an organism. Overthinking.
hey, I think the overthinking is working for you because you already have these two amazing albums out with Crossbringer and Predatory Void. I think
Yeah,
it is. Don't hurt yourself in a way. Don't let the artistic process. Don't succumb to the madness, or as I say,
yeah,
become a victim of your own product. But I think what you're doing is very help. I think it's not only creating great art, but I think there's a great message behind it.
yeah. I always think about it like, if I heard something like that, what would I feel? So I always feel like I want to create something cryptic, very mysterious, but at the same time, I realize it's not that relatable. And if I listen to some cryptic lyrics, it's sometimes it doesn't awaken any images in my head. I see nothing. I hear words, they're beautiful, they're put together well, but yeah. And I wanted to avoid that
Yeah.
for sure.
I think it's not too cryptic, but also not too obvious. I think you avoid
Yeah.
both of those pitfalls. So excellent.
Trying to balance,
Yeah,
it's very difficult for overthinkers, but we're trying.
we're doing the best we can from a fellow overthinker
Exactly.
myself. But the final question I wanted to ask you is when you put
Mm.
this material out there, it's up to the listener now to interpret it in their own way and feel
Yeah.
their own emotion behind it. Do you think a listener's interpretation of it or their feelings behind it could add new context to it or add to the meaning of it in a way? Or do you prefer if your music just kind of stays in where it is in its meaning?
um I'd say I'm not sure. Of course, I don't know what the reactions are going to be. But at this point, what I'm imagining is that probably my opinion won't change that as much, but I'll be very curious to hear what people are going to find between the lines. I'm very curious to find that out.
Yeah, because I've always said art is life, and when you bring it into the
Mhm.
world, it grows and it develops. It can also eventually die at times as well. So,
Yeah.
like, I've
Yeah.
always said that when it's out into the world, it's becoming a life of its own, and other people's
Of course.
interpretations of it is kind of like feeding into its life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It needs context, like the context for me is like my life, my own experiences, but someone else has a completely different vision because their life is completely different. And I have to say, I recently listened to my band from like 2012.
Is that the homeless are
It's
dead?
The Homeless is Dead, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like nostalgic, and I was listening to some songs, and I was like, oh, some of them came true. I mean, I felt some things back then, but then everything transformed, and it just, yeah, it's become like a completely different thing now. It's super weird, but also very interesting.
Yep, and that's the beautiful thing about art. You never know where it could
Hmm.
take you. Sometimes it is like it has what I call the Frankenstein effect, where you build it and then it grows into a monster that one can't control. So,
Yeah, exactly. It's
and
a good metaphor.
and with how powerful your lyrics are, maybe be careful.
Should we put like a trigger warning on it?
I'm not gonna say yes or no to that. I don't think it's trigger warning. I think it's thought provoking, and I think
Yeah,
I think it forces people to look inward with the emotions that they may be uncomfortable to express. So
that'd be great. But I just can't wait to hear what people are gonna feel and think about it. Yeah.
I can't wait for when this comes out and see the same thing. So
Yes.
before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time for such an awesome conversation. Just with the release of Predatory Void's new album coming out, April 21st, I believe is the date. Is there just what else can we be expecting from Predatory Void? Can we be expecting? I know you're all in your other projects, but can we maybe be getting some live performances or anything else you'd like to promote with its release?
Oh yeah, we're gonna play our basically release show at the Roadburn Festival in the Netherlands on the 20th of April, the day before the release. And after that, we have a series of local shows in Belgium with other pretty cool bands. So our goal is to be able to play live as much as possible. So if you have a chance to come see us live, please do. We'll be happy to see you.
I'm getting a ticket to Belgium right when I hang up. But thank you,
Book it.
but thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Lina of Predatory Void. 7 Keys to the Discomfort of Being out via Century Media on April 21st. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.